Space is the most expensive frontier humanity has ever pursued. Not millions, not even just billions, but in some cases, hundreds of billions of dollars, spent just to explore what lies beyond our planet. Today, we're counting down the 10 most expensive NASA missions ever, ranked from the least expensive to the most costly project in history. And by the end of this list, the numbers will sound almost unreal. Let's begin. Curiosity rover, Mars Science Laboratory. At number 10 is the Mars Science Laboratory, better known as the Curiosity rover, with a total cost of about $2.5 to $3 billion. Curiosity isn't just a rover, it's a fully equipped mobile laboratory powered by a nuclear energy source, designed to operate for years in the harsh Martian environment. It landed on Mars in 2012 using one of the most complex landing systems ever attempted, the Sky Crane, which lowered the rover gently onto the surface. Since then, it has traveled across Gale Crater, drilling into rocks, analyzing soil, and discovering that Mars once had the right conditions to support microbial life. It fundamentally changed our understanding of the red planet, proving that Mars was once far more Earth-like than we ever imagined. Viking program. At number 9, we have the Viking program, costing roughly $3.5 to $4 billion when adjusted for inflation. Launched in the 1970s, Viking 1 and Viking 2 were the first successful U.S. missions to land on Mars and operate for extended periods. Each mission included both an orbiter and a lander, making them incredibly ambitious for their time. What made Viking truly groundbreaking were its life detection experiments. For the first time in history, humanity actively tested another planet for signs of life. The results were inconclusive and are still debated today, but Viking set the foundation for every Mars mission that followed. Cassini-Huygens. At number 8 is the Cassini-Huygens mission, with a cost of about $3.9 billion. This mission was a collaboration between NASA, ESA, and the Italian Space Agency, and it remains one of the most successful deep space missions ever conducted. Cassini spent over 13 years orbiting Saturn, sending back breathtaking images and data about the planet, its rings, and its many moons. One of its biggest achievements was delivering the Huygens probe to Titan, Saturn's largest moon. There, it landed on a frozen surface covered in lakes of liquid methane, making Titan one of the most intriguing places in the solar system. Cassini ultimately ended its mission with a dramatic plunge into Saturn's atmosphere, ensuring its moons would remain uncontaminated. Hey, sorry to beam into your day like a surprise satellite grinning face with sweat, but if you are enjoying this trip through NASA's most expensive missions, a like or subscribe would really help our little channel launch even higher. With your support, we can explore more amazing space adventures and bring you even better videos from across the galaxy. Thanks. Perseverance rover. At number 7 is the Perseverance rover, costing around $4.5 billion. Perseverance is the most advanced rover NASA has ever sent to Mars. It landed in Jezero Crater in 2021, a location believed to have once been an ancient lake. Its primary mission is to search for signs of ancient microbial life and to collect rock samples that will eventually be returned to Earth in a future mission. But perhaps its most historic achievement is carrying Ingenuity, the first helicopter to fly on another planet. That small drone proved that powered flight is possible on Mars, opening the door for future aerial exploration. James Webb Space Telescope. At number 6 is the James Webb Space Telescope, with a cost of about $10 billion. Webb is often described as the successor to Hubble, but in reality, it's something far more powerful. It observes the universe in infrared, allowing it to see through dust clouds and detect some of the oldest light ever emitted. This means Webb can look back over 13 billion years, capturing images of galaxies formed shortly after the Big Bang. Its development took decades and faced numerous delays and budget overruns, but the result is arguably the most advanced scientific instrument ever built. Hubble Space Telescope. At number 5 is the Hubble Space Telescope, with a total cost estimated between $10 and $16 billion. When Hubble first launched in 1990, it had a major flaw in its mirror that caused blurry images. What followed was one of the most impressive rescue efforts in space history. Astronauts aboard the Space Shuttle performed multiple servicing missions, effectively upgrading Hubble over time and turning it into one of the most important scientific tools ever created. Hubble helped determine the age of the universe, confirmed the existence of dark energy, and captured some of the most iconic images ever taken in space exploration. Hubble Space Telescope. At number 4 is the Artemis program, with costs already exceeding $90 billion and still rising. Artemis is NASA's plan to return humans to the moon for the first time since the Apollo era. But this time, the goal isn't just to visit, it's to stay. The program includes the Space Launch System, the Orion spacecraft, and plans for a lunar space station known as the Gateway. Artemis aims to establish a long-term human presence on the moon and use it as a stepping stone for future missions to Mars. And since it's still ongoing, it will likely climb even higher on this list. International Space Station. At number 3 is the International Space Station, with a total cost of around $150 billion. The ISS is the most expensive structure ever built by humanity. It orbits Earth at about 400 kilometers above the surface and has been continuously inhabited since the year 2000. It serves as a microgravity laboratory where astronauts conduct experiments in biology, physics, medicine, and more, research that simply isn't possible on Earth. Perhaps more importantly, it represents one of the greatest examples of international cooperation, bringing together space agencies from around the world. Space Shuttle Program. At number 2 is the Space Shuttle Program, costing over $200 billion in total. When it was first conceived, the Space Shuttle was meant to make space travel routine and affordable through reusability. While it did revolutionize access to space and enabled major projects like the Hubble Space Telescope and the ISS, the reality was far more complex. The shuttles required massive maintenance, extensive safety checks, and costly infrastructure, making each launch far more expensive than originally planned. Despite its challenges, the program defined an entire era of spaceflight and remains one of NASA's most iconic achievements. Apollo Program. And finally, at number 1, the most expensive NASA program ever, the Apollo program, with a cost of over $260 billion when adjusted for inflation. Apollo was born out of the space race, a time of intense competition between the United States and the Soviet Union. In less than a decade, NASA developed the technology to send humans to the moon, land them safely, and bring them back to Earth. At its peak, the program consumed more than 4% of the entire US federal budget, an extraordinary level of investment in a single goal. Apollo 11 made history in 1969, when humans first set foot on the lunar surface. And to this day, it remains one of the greatest achievements in human history. From robotic explorers on Mars to humans walking on the moon, these missions show the incredible cost of pushing beyond our limits. And the crazy part is, we're just getting started. With new missions planned for the moon, Mars, and even deeper space, the next record-breaking project might already be underway. So if you're into space, massive engineering, and the future of humanity beyond Earth, make sure you stick around, because on this channel, we're breaking down the biggest, most ambitious projects ever created. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.